Biggs and Boggs.
See how this goes. Happy Friday, man. Cheers. Cheers. Oh, hey guys. Welcome back to your feature channel, Biggs and Boggs. I'm Marty Boggs.
And I'm Julian Biggs.
We're coming at you with something a little bit different this evening. We are going to do a breakdown with Biggs and Boggs. We're going to react to one of ANDREI JIKH's videos. I watch his channel, and you should too. Let's get right into it.
I have not watched the video.
America has been downgraded, and the dollar, for all the pushback it faces, remains the world's default currency. But America's dominant position is now under stress.
So this is...
Notice, first of all, how this is not an American news channel. Of course, you would never hear that on their own channels. And this is ANDREI JIKH, by the way.
huge. The credit ratings agency just downgraded the US. This is so rare that this is only the second time in US history that this has ever happened. The last time was in 2011, and it was a huge deal. There are now only 9 countries in the entire world that have the perfect AAA credit rating score, but the US is no longer one of them.
Let's get right to that top news. Fitch has indeed downgraded the U.S. government's credit rating. Now, this is only the second time it's ever happened. The first was in 2011. It was historic then.
Fitch Ratings downgraded the U.S. debt rating from a perfect AAA to a AA+. The effects already...
Okay, what does this mean? What does this mean? Now we're from AAA, now we're AA+.
I don't know. It's interesting to me just because we're being shown so much of this now. But we need to also understand that they control what we see.
That's what I'm thinking.
Especially Canadian legislation now that's like...
Yeah.
Going to impact the way we can view and share news on social media platforms and everything else.
Yeah, you're going to have to go to it's.
Well, I mean, that's also
like
I just can't.
That's also a part of Web 3 too, though, right? With integration into Web 3, no one should be able to hide behind a screen or make false accusations without clear punishment. So, if it is for the right reasons, you know, everybody's got to give up a bit of freedom for us all to be equal, right? But I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But it very well could go in a wrong way or bad way for the rest of people if that's what happens. But
I mean,
I don't know.
As far as this goes, like people are wising to the fact that $31 trillion in debt, and we just continue to carry on like nothing. Nothing has happened. You know what I mean?
End?
So. Well, you can't have an end. How do you get out of $31 trillion in debt? Like it doesn't happen. It doesn't exist.
already being felt. The 3 major indexes were down by mid-morning. Global stocks also fell Wednesday.
And as a result of that, the stock market...
Okay, so we also just looked at the charts before this, and they bounced back pretty quickly, with some of which having pretty massive bounces. It didn't really look like overall that the day actually took a big hit, so kind of weird.
But a fall in the stock market as well.
Yeah, but like nothing really actually moved overall. They just, I don't know, they're saying that it did. I don't know, it's weird.
Lost 7% in a single day on Wednesday, which is just insane. When you remember that for context, the market is supposed to go up 8 to 10%.
Okay, hold on. We got it right here. Let's check it out. S&P 500, 7%. Okay, daily. Let's see. This is Friday, so even on Wednesday,
it's a big dip. It's one of the largest candles.
It went down
in the last few weeks,
0.43%. So like, I don't know where this news is coming from. But this is the S&P 500. This is exactly what they were talking about. And on the chart here on TradingView, it does not show that. So I don't know. I'm kind of skeptical about all this stuff anyways. Let's just continue on here.
In 1 year, and we just lost 7 in a single day. So the question is, what did the U.S. do to deserve this?
7 points? What does he say?
No, he said 7%. And it only went less than 1%. It went more today.
Go back. What does he actually say? What's the terminology that he actually uses there? I missed that.
The 3 major indexes were down by mid-morning. Global stocks also fell Wednesday.
And as a result of that, the stock market lost 7% in a single day on Wednesday, which is just insane. When you remember that for context, the market is supposed to go up 8 to 10% in 1 year, and we just lost 7 in a single day. So the question is, what did the U.S. do to deserve this downgrade? Fitch cited a couple reasons, but really the biggest reasons was because of debt, and because according to them, the U.S. is no longer as trustworthy as it once was.
So he's
part of, go back to the charts.
He's part of the matrix.
This is what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying. Everything's, and I was like, everything to me, it's like everything's a psyop. It's like I can't help but go back there because
every time.
Who's funding this guy's content? I personally don't watch ANDREI JIKH. Is that what you call it?
ANDREI JIKH. Yeah.
Andrew.
Yeah. I feel like he's got good insight, but
you're just lured in by his hand movements.
I am. He's a magician. He's got me.
he's a hand-eye guy. Eh?
It works.
What is that called? Is that a sleight of hand guy?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
that's what it is. So but anyways, this is the actual S&P 500. These are daily candles, and so we're only back here on Wednesday.
This is daily.
Yeah.
No, go to the daily chart.
This is the day. Oh, that's a 4 hour. Sorry.
Yeah. We'll go to the daily chart, and then from the bottom to the top. So what do we got?
Thursday.
We got the
July.
last week. What? What do you mean that's July?
That big one there, that's July 27th.
Yeah, but measure. Take the measuring tool out and see what it's...
We're here, right? August. He said Wednesday. So, yeah, okay, let's see. All the way to the top. Let's go to this top of the range. And let's see. Even all the way down to where we are now, we're only at 3%.
Right. So, I don't know. That already, that discredits...
Doesn't add up.
That discredits the JIKH for me already. You know what I mean? Like, we're 1 minute into this video, and I want to...
Welcome. No, he's got better stuff. And also...
So, we didn't select the best video for reaction today.
Also,
I can't trust him already.
Also, we
got 11 minutes to go, and he's already lying to me.
He's using headlines out of news. So.
My fucking brain.
Fitch believes that U.S. standards have been going down for the last 20 years, and here's what they said in their official statement about why they did this. There has been a steady deterioration in standards of governance over the last 20 years, including on fiscal and debt matters, notwithstanding the June bipartisan agreement to suspend the debt limit until January 2025. The repeated debt limit political standoffs and last-minute resolutions have eroded confidence in fiscal management. So there's a lot to unpack there, and the real question is, what does this actually mean?
Additionally, there has been only a limited progress in tackling medium-term challenges related to the rising Social Security and Medicare costs due to an aging population.
Okay. He didn't.
It's like, well, tell doctors to stop make the end of life longer. Like, make the middle better. You know what I mean?
Yeah. There's a couple answers to that.
Why do we keep dragging it out? Because
it's profitable.
It's profitable.
Yeah.
Sickness is profitable. Chaos is profitable.
Just like they're just making money when they're sitting there in
that
bed.
Carry on.
Yeah. They didn't read that.
Resolutions have eroded confidence in fiscal management. So there's a lot to unpack there, and the real question is, what does this actually mean in layman's terms? Why is this credit rating so important? Why did the stock market react so badly? How does this affect the U.S. as a country and consumers and investors as a whole? That's what I want to explain in today's video, so let's get into it. Hi, my name is ANDREI. JIKH. Hope you're doing well. Come for the finance and stay for the downgrade. So I just got back from Disneyland literally a couple hours ago, and I'm super happy, and I'm like, what
I just got back from Disneyland.
And then I read economies on
Why is that a part of his conversation?
7%.
U.S. credit rating downgraded.
I leave for one day, and everything falls apart. But let's get into this crazy story, starting with what this credit rating is and why it's useful. Think of this credit rating like a report.
He went to Disneyland. It's kind of sketchy. What was he doing there?
It's sketchy. What are you doing at Disneyland?
Kids? I don't know if he has kids. Hopefully he has kids, though. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
Or he was meeting with some people.
I just feel like Disney's involved in some sketchy shit.
Yeah. I think this actually is a paid promotion video.
Yeah. Like, this is what I mean. Like, this one, it's funny because, like I said, I didn't watch this video before it came today, even though Marty sent it to me. But,
well, this is the kind of stuff you got to be aware of, though, right? This is 2 million.
I don't know if anybody should be watching this guy with the way he's talking
2.27 million subscribers, though. People do. That's the thing.
He's telling me that the stock market went down 7% a day, which has only gone down 3% over 4 days.
Yeah.
And he just came back from Disneyland. I'm sketched.
Yeah. It's going to be a tough last.
Let's keep going, JIKH.
Report card for the entire world. Except instead of students, we have countries. Every country has its own report card or credit rating, and its strength is measured by how well the government is run and the strength of its economy. The better run the government is, the higher the grade. Except instead of A through F like we used to get in school, this is a little more complicated, but not by much. Here's the breakdown of all the possible grades you could get, starting with D, then C, double C, triple C, and so on and so forth, with the best grade at AAA. This is where the US used to be. We were straight A students, but we were recently downgraded to AA, which is still considered really good because it's still investment grade. But we're now 3 grades away from being speculative grade, which is sort of like being a D student, definitely not where we want to be. But why this is important is because of money. Who would have thunk it? Everything revolves around money. The US is seen as a beacon of safety where other countries park their money inside of because we're straight A students. We know what we're doing. And specifically the way it works is countries buy our treasury.
Okay, that is more reason to believe. Look at this guy's fucking eyes right now, just on this still frame too. Like, he was definitely raised by Disney, I think.
He's one of those bot kids.
Was he on Nickelodeon or some shit earlier? Like, anyways, okay, replay what he just said. Replay what he just said there. Let's go back.
Speculative grade, which is sort of like being a D student, definitely not where we want to be. But why this is important is because of money. Who would have thunk it? Everything revolves around money. The U.S. is seen as a beacon of safety.
Oh, okay. Stop it. Okay, so he's talking about people come to the U.S. to keep their money in the U.S. No, people make their money in the U.S., and it's weird because the British pound is worth a bit more, whatever. still, but people
they trade goods for
but like
dollars.
look at the biggest companies that like some of the most profitable campaigning companies of the United States, right? They don't keep their money in the States because there's too much fucking tax.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
that's all Swiss and
that to me seems like BS because like companies like Nike and Coca-Cola and stuff like that, like their businesses are elsewhere where they don't have to pay those massive business taxes.
But they're registered American companies and they trade on the American stock market, which is interesting.
Well, of course.
Yeah.
Like that's
so
like,
they use
that's
them...
the other illusion too, which is why you just push dollar cost averaging and whatever it is, because the longer you're in any market, the more profitable it becomes for you. But the thing we need to understand is that we have to buy shares of the product and not just the product. You have to allocate some money to some of the assets because you'll just accumulate more wealth over time. And that's the reason the 1% is so rich, because their families have just been fucking doing it longer. That's it. That's the only reason.
And then teaching their kids how to do
it. And so it's like
keeping the ball rolling.
And it's funny because I just came back from, the Shambhala, and I had this huge conversation with this guy about corporate greed. It's like,
well, that's a deep one there. You go on for days.
Well, you can go on for days, but it's like you can't be just like, if it is a game, if this is a game that we all have to play, it's because responsibility of labor without authority is basically slavery, right? So
that's the thing. They play games to make you do this.
Exactly. So if this is a game to just stay alive and stay afloat, you know what I mean? Like, you can't be mad at the people who are playing the game well.
You just have to pull your money from or your chips from their game.
Yeah, because if you decide that you don't like the game, you don't want to play the game, you don't get to get mad at the people who are playing the game well.
Yeah.
It's not about greed. The reason we're pointing the finger at the wrong people. The reason that
you got to look in the mirror.
The reason the game is getting so out of hand is because it's just gone too far, like you said with the pendulum.
Yeah.
It goes to one side way too far before things find a balance again.
Yeah, and it's nice, and then we're whoa, she's gone.
It's got nothing to do with the corporations. As long as the Federal Reserve continues to print more money because they're $31 trillion in debt.
It's their only choice.
You know what I mean?
Well, that's the only thing they're going to do.
It's like the game. So the game only gets worse.
It's funny
to
because
play.
they say that they don't want inflation to go up, blah blah. But meanwhile, it actually makes them richer, and they know it.
Yeah.
So it's like it's complete bullshit when they say that they don't. Oh, we don't want to cause inflation. Inflation is transitory.
And it's like
he's
telling us the markets are so screwed, but it's like they've just literally come off the most profitable.
They own so much stock. They own so many assets.
And
they own so much land.
The start of this decade.
Yeah.
Was so profitable,
and it allows them to borrow more money against it because they're worth more because the dollar isn't
and even
worth as much.
Like they're playing this game now. You got to think that even since January this year, they're up 100% on their positions.
Yeah.
That's money they've never made before. The stock markets don't make that kind of money.
No, well, and that's the thing is because we're starting to see the curve take off in an extreme.
So they pushed the price of Bitcoin all the way to $70,000, right? They pushed it all the way down to $15,000.
Yeah.
Everyone thinks it's a scam now, but it's like that wasn't just some crypto dudes on the internet scamming people. Like that's big players. That's big dumb money. That's trillions of dollars.
Trillions.
Well, we were over $1 trillion on Bitcoin alone.
Yeah,
right?
and nobody on paper is a trillionaire, right? So you got to think, like even the richest people in the world, that's a lot of money.
And they can only buy so much Bitcoin at a time. You can't just buy up all the Bitcoin, right? So they drove it all the way to $70,000.
Oh, yeah.
That's
all
insane.
They can do is scare you. All they can do is scare you, right? And try and manipulate your mind. Do the same thing they've always been doing.
All I'm saying, this guy is saying that people bring their money, you know what I mean? Like, it's not. The Americans use their money elsewhere to avoid taxes in the system that they created that fucks everybody else.
The higher class does. The middle and, or what's left of the middle and lower class pay the taxes.
Yeah, well, and all these guys, we pay for all these guys' yachts and all that shit, too.
Yeah, exactly. All their hard-earned money. SEC, what's going on here? That's literally their job title is to protect
I can't.
and they're actually doing the complete opposite.
I have a hard time watching the circus.
Oh, it's brutal. It's brutal.
Personally, DCA and look away.
That's
actually my new. That's my new slogan.
That's a good one.
DCA and look away.
Yeah,
that's my new fucking slogan.
That is a good one. Cheers to that. All right, we're not even halfway through this video. Let's get going here.
Park their money inside of because we're straight A students. We know what we're doing. And specifically the way it works is countries buy our treasuries or government bonds. $7.6 trillion worth to be exact is how much money other countries have invested with us, with Japan, China, and the UK being the biggest investors. So this report card is sort of like our reputation. It's a statement to the rest of the world that we have never defaulted on our debt, and we've always paid our investors the interest that we owe them. So if the US has never defaulted on its debt, then why did it get downgraded? There's 3 main reasons why this happened that I want to share with you, and then I want to show you how this personally affects us, because unfortunately, there is a price to pay. Now, just because the US is getting itself into deeper and deeper debt and had its credit rating downgraded doesn't mean you have to as well. It's now more important than ever to keep as much of your money in your wallet as possible, which is also why I've been using an app called Rocket Money.
So why you should keep is just stop paying for things. And this is a stupid ad that we're going to skip by, because I'm definitely not a fan of any of that type of stuff.
This guy, I'm not sure what to think about this guy.
Fitch says this downgrade does not happen overnight. America's position has been gradually deteriorating. And broadly, there are 3 problems: erosion of governance, rising government deficit, and high levels of debt.
Now, erosion of governance specifically refers to something called a debt ceiling, which the government has to raise in order to approve increased spending. Now, the debt ceiling is extremely important, not just to the US, but to the rest of the world, because as part of that budget, that includes interest payments on the bonds that other countries have with us. Unfortunately, the US likes to wait until the very last possible second to raise the debt ceiling and approve more spending. To the rest of the world, this shows a complete and utter disrespect to not only the US citizens and the government workers, but also the international investors and bondholders who expect to get paid on time. Imagine being a blue-chip dividend investor and you were waiting to get paid, but instead you saw the board of directors break out into a fistfight arguing over how they're spending way too much money on dividends. Now, you know the real reason they're fighting is because, wink wink, they want to get their bonuses first. And if you saw that, you'd get pretty upset, and in some cases, you might even get worried that you might not get paid on time. And that's an example.
Yeah, so that's an example, let me finish that for you there, Andre, of the Ponzi scheme. That's how it works.
Yeah. So, and this is what I'm going to say to you. So, Hitman's like, oh, the USA this and that. It's like downgraded. It's like, man, the USA has created the monetary policy that we live by through war.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like there is no finance without what the U.S. is doing right now. So...
well, the chaos.
Yeah, and chaos is profitable. I lost my thought there. Let's carry on. Let's listen.
Of an erosion of governance. Of course, the Secretary Treasury disagrees with this assessment, but it makes sense why the government would disagree. But that's totally acceptable, because that's like asking a student to grade themselves. No one's going to be like, yeah, I'm definitely a D student.
It's actually ridiculous. Like, this is the other thing, too. So we know that Alzheimer's and dementia can start to affect the brain at 50 years old.
And probably getting sooner by the day.
And probably getting sooner by the day. And throughout history, the lifespan of a human was, what, 40 to 60?
Well, yeah, definitely.
You know what I mean?
Not as much as it is now, for sure.
Right?
Yeah.
So 40 to 60 used to be a senior.
Yeah. Well, 55.
No, I'm talking not long ago.
Okay, yes,
before we started getting all these pharmaceuticals and all this and all these processed foods.
And when we were growing up, it was 55, and it is now 65.
Right?
In our lifetime, it's changed 10 years.
So, why? These are people, 200 years ago, all the people that are in Congress and Janet Yellen, these people would have been fucking dead already. You know what I mean? Why are they making the decisions for our society? I don't get that why the top candidates of our species in their prime aren't the ones making decisions.
Yeah, or just the kids straight up. But
not even kids, but 80-year-olds. If you're between 60 and 85 years old.
So think about this. Here's a little prophecy for you. X, the new app X.
Yeah.
So the whole reason politicians are in existence today is because we appointed them back in the day when we did not have the means to communicate as easily as we do today.
Yeah.
So we appointed somebody to talk to somebody on the other side of the world, and they would ride on horseback, make a meeting, and come back in a month and tell us what's going on. Now we have instant communication, and this app that Elon is working on could be everything. Even when people say everything,
we started talking about that a year ago.
I know, but I don't think people really understand. We don't need politicians to represent us anymore. Everybody can represent themselves by a click of a button. And if there's an app that we're all connected to and all connected on, and can take in or out or make decisions on, and all and then also what that thing can do is it can see who's competent or not. And it can start to say, okay, you know
what?
Yeah,
and actually appoint the top candidates for their positions.
Exactly, and not whether they like it or not.
Yeah, and
whether they like it or not, you will be appointed because you are the best qualified for this position.
Yeah, and it's got nothing to do with trying to be diverse.
No.
It's we need the most complicated...
Or who's got the biggest following and all that bullshit.
We need the most competent people in their fields, in the positions, to make the proper decisions, right? Like,
so Biggs and Boggs break it down here. X or something like it could literally, and even AI, like they know, the people up top know that their days are numbered.
Yeah.
And technology is replacing them. And they've tried to scare you against using technology because they've said that it's going to replace you. But really, it's going to replace them. It's the funny thing about it, but they continue to try and scare you and say, "Oh no, that's bad," or "No, this is good," but everything is obviously backwards and a psyop, right? So
everything's a psyop.
Why the U.S. got downgraded is because of government deficits and higher levels of debt. And if you look at the historical U.S. debt level, you'll see the country now owes more than
that's not a big number. That's not a big number at all. 30, how many commas are there?
$32 trillion.
That's a lot of commas, man.
Over $32.5 trillion.
It's a lot of numbers. You lost me.
That's actually, like, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
It's a joke.
How can anybody think that money is real or the system is real or somehow functional? Do you know what I mean? Like,
no,
what did that?
I don't
there was somebody, and I don't even remember who it was, but somebody recently said to be well adjusted to a sick society is not something you should wear as a badge of honor.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, if you're well adjusted to a sick society that makes absolutely no fucking sense.
Well, they don't know. That's why it's how it all works. They don't know.
Ugh.
They don't. Well, they don't. Things like this are hidden from them.
And it's like critical thinkers. It's like, man. Now the people who are actually like standing up and not be like perverting the truth, it's just like, man, it's like you're ostracized.
Well, yeah, you exactly. You get in trouble for telling the truth, and you get followers for lying.
Man, it's crazy.
100%.
Because it's like attention is the most valuable currency now too,
and lying.
And it's like now it's like
anything that's fake or unbelievable.
Yeah, it's just trendy to be a part of comforting lies. It's just.
All right, let's get to the end of this.
$32 trillion, and the debt keeps growing at an unsustainable level, especially when you factor in interest rates. And that's because higher interest rates affect not only the consumer's ability to borrow money, which is becoming more expensive for us, but also the entire country. Because the way we really pay off our debt is we take a credit card and we use it to pay off all of our other credit cards. That is the easiest analogy to understand, and that's why we have never defaulted on our debt.
Here, I owe you 10, but you owe me 10, so I owe you 10. Here's that. Oh, yeah, but you owe me 10. Oh, here's 20. I owe you 20. I owe you 10.
Man.
Or whatever, right?
It's an illusion. It's just insane.
Debt because we can just borrow more. And we can do that without affecting inflation too much because we also have the ability to export excess US dollars to other countries because they need dollars to buy their energy, aka their oil.
But they won't. Well, but they don't anymore. That's another big point that he doesn't point out there. They don't anymore. So what now? Right?
AKA the petrodollar. And it needs to stay the world reserve currency, and part of doing that means getting good grades on your report card. But the problem is when interest rates are high like they are right now, more of that money goes towards higher interest payments, which increases our debt, which only perpetuates this endless cycle for the need to
The U.S. is $32 trillion in debt, and my credit score is important for some reason. Come on. Give me a break.
Yeah. And also, who gets the interest? Like, where's that go? Like, come on.
The question is, how does this actually affect consumers and investors? The good news is that this downgrade is a very small amount. Objectively speaking, from AAA down to AA still leaves the US as one of the safest countries in the world to park your money. But if in the future we have a president who's running on the platform of being financially responsible and paying down the debt, I don't know if Warren Buffett at that time, but if they wanted to be responsible, then this does increase the odds of higher taxes in the future. But because it's politically unpopular to do that, the US usually defaults to just printing more money because that's way easier, but it also contributes to more inflation and, of course, higher debt. But yes, in the future, it does slightly increase the odds of higher taxes. Another side effect of all of this is that it increases the cost for the country to borrow money. But hold on a minute, Andre. If the US government disagrees with this agency's new rating, why would it subject itself to paying all these higher rates if it could just borrow more money from itself at lower rates, right? That's a good question. And the answer is because it can't. When the US wants to borrow money, it creates new bonds. Those bonds' interest rates, or yields, are tied to federal fund rates. Now, this means that when a country's risk goes up, like the US just did, the country has to compensate investors by paying a higher interest rate because they're theoretically taking on more risk. But that's exactly how the stock market works. That's why when someone asks, Andre, talk about this dividend stock that's like 10% dividend yield, they're tempting you, and that's how they get you. They pay you a higher interest rate because the truth is that stock is a lot more risky, so they have to compensate for it. Now, fortunately, this downgrade is extremely
higher the interest rate, the higher the Ponzi.
Small, and if you look at it,
everyone has the opposite view of what they should of Bitcoin.
Completely.
It's the rest of this is such complicated BS. Like, dude, just flip on the news and try to listen and understand what they do. Like when they're talking about the finance and everything, it's like they involve so many. I mean,
well, that's exactly what they're trying to do. Just they're trying to make it be like, you know what? I don't know what you're talking about. Take my money.
And that's why the majority of people won't invest in the stock market because it sounds confusing and they make it so fucking boring.
Yeah.
You watch the news channel and hear them talk about finance, and it's like you will fall asleep, and that's why I don't understand the stock market.
Too. It's like they only ever talk about like, oh, Starbucks took a hit today, down 3%. But it's like, but it's up 400%.
Yeah, exactly. So this is what I mean. So the majority of people are like, oh, you know, they make finance seem so boring and overcomplicated. I can't understand it.
Down, everything's crashing.
I'm going to hit the Starbucks drive-through fucking 8 times a week.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
oh, they sold some stock and took some profit. That's DCA in, DCA out.
And
they paid their dues. They DCA'd in the 90s. Now they're like sitting on one of the best stocks and companies of like, well, since before crypto, basically. And obviously they're going to take some profits.
Yeah.
It's not a big deal. That's how it works.
Any of the bond charts over the last few days, you can see that bond interest rates did go up, but only by a very small amount. So yes, on paper, it does look like it now costs the government just a little bit more money to borrow more, but despite this downgrade, no one actually believes that the U.S. would ever default on its debt and not pay its bondholders around the world just because one credit rating.
So they're going to have to. The only option is to print more money, like we've said.
We raise the debt ceiling and print more money.
The debt ceiling is raised for the
That's
next 2 years.
how we get to 32 trillion. $32 trillion. Can you even fathom how much money that is?
So basically, the yield curve, the curve or whatever it's called, is getting to the point of hyperinflation.
So there's no trillionaire on paper.
No.
Alive.
No. Apparently, I don't think so.
Yet.
There will be.
Yet. There's countries $32 trillion in debt.
Yes.
32.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's pretty crazy. But yes, we are going to.
Yeah, not a single person holding $1 trillion of liquid value.
Yeah, remember, this is your future hand. We're just pointing out things that we foresee possibly happening because we're kind of connecting the dots here.
They have to wipe out the system we have right now because it doesn't make any fucking sense.
It's the only way. Well, Bitcoin is and will slowly erode it.
Well, yeah,
if they don't.
It already is.
Yeah.
The fact that it's even worth $30K now, it's like.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly, right? Like, wow, something of actual value. And you look at, it's just, for instance, the second market cap is Ethereum, and it's only worth just under $2,000.
Yeah.
Well, and then everything under that is around $10.
To me, it's very clear. Like, even the S&P 500 is only worth $4,000
yeah,
right now.
$4,200, something like that. So
right?
It's like, yeah, and it's unbelievable. And it's so funny, just on a little side note here, how ChatGPT has completely been censored. And have you used it at all lately?
Yeah.
You used it right when it first came out. Really great, giving you really solid, non-biased answers, like really quality stuff. And then I've been using it for the last couple of days, and it's just like, it just doesn't give you the answers that you know are right. Like, I'm asking it questions that I know the answer to, and it doesn't give me the right answer. I'm like, come on, man. Like, what are you doing? And it just says, oh, and things are complicated. It's just
agencies.
Obviously, well, we couldn't have that technology just like that, right? So
the liberals got to
do a little bit of something to it before. So that's weird though, because the AI boom has basically been like shut off and not even talked about for the last month or two after it made a huge start to the year. Now it's all it's
everything has that exponential start, right?
Yeah, but they did talk about how they were trying to stop it or put a pause on it, but maybe.
But the reality is the majority of fucking people don't understand it. They're not going to use it. So the people who do and will utilize it they're going to get an advantage on everybody else in business that are using it, and they're going to continue using it.
Dude,
the rest of the people who have.
Every email I get from like Netflix or anything like that, or YouTube, it's clearly AI written emails.
Yeah.
Like, clearly. Come on. That's what they do. All right, let's just finish this up here.
Said so. Another direct downside we all feel right now, though, is volatility in the stock market. Now, I'm filming this video on Wednesday, but by the time you're watching this, the stock market could have recovered or it could have fallen more, because on Wednesday, it fell 7%. But that's because that's the initial reaction of investors selling off their stocks because they're panicking and they don't fully understand what any of this actually means. In the short term, this doesn't mean much at all. In the long term, it means we need to get our act together because our reputation matters. If it didn't, the rest of the world wouldn't want to buy our fun coupons. And if no one wants our fun coupons and we have more at home, that means hyperinflation, which means paying 10 times more for things like milk, eggs, rent, chicken, things like that. So
Bitcoin.
Keep an eye out.
Already paying $6
Bitcoin, for instance,
for a gallon of milk in Canada. Like, what's that, $8?
Well, that's another thing that I like. Why didn't he say he didn't mention the answer at all? He listed a ton of problems.
Yeah. See, I don't listen to JIKH, so I'm not really too sure how I feel about this cat.
He didn't,
especially based on the fact that his market analysis was.
Yeah, well, I wonder if he
so.
even has TradingView. Like, come on, bro. Do you even have TradingView? So, like, here's talking about the charts. You don't even have TradingView. Here's Bitcoin, for instance. Like, just for fun. Let's see where we're at here on this Friday night. Check out the weekly. Oh, it looks pretty bad, doesn't it? Oh, that looks pretty bad. Yeah, we've come down quite a ways. Oh, wait a minute. Let's zoom out a bit. Oh, wow, look at us. We're actually doing pretty good.
Yeah, like it's.
Oh, swing. That's my first buy. That's when I got in right there. And
That's funny that you put that in there.
Yeah, I had to.
All right, well.
Yeah, this is a good episode.
So on the stew, I'm leaking here.
It's getting a little warmer, yeah. All right. Well, you know what to do there, down folks. Just smash the like.
Do the things. Click the likes.
Comment. Let us know what you think of this new style here. And Biggs and Boggs will break it down for you again next time on Biggs and Boggs Break It Down. Peace.
Biggs and Boggs out.
Probably just going to use the regular. That's what we got. Yeah. That's great, though. I'll take one of those too, please.